Today we will be showing you how to install a 12 by 16 Wood A-Frame Pavilion. However, they are also available in these sizes listed on your screen. The tools and accessories that are required in order for you to complete your installation will be laid out in your manual. Make sure to review those so that you have everything you need in order to complete the installation. Once you have located all the tools required in order to complete the installation, make sure that you are following all the local guidelines and regulations in order to complete the installation safely. You can start by unpacking the kit that we will provide for you. Make sure to locate all the necessary items in order to complete the installation. If for whatever reason there are any missing pieces, please contact us at the number listed on your screen. Now that you have located all of the items, we can start with post assembly. We recommend attaching your structure directly to a concrete pad or footers. Mark off the desired location for the structure placement that fits your outdoor area using the footprint of your structure. Standard sizes can be found in the assembly manual that will be provided for you in your kit. Locate the 4 posts and place them on a clean and flat surface. Note how the top of each post has 2 cutouts. The flat side should be facing in. Set the post in place with the lines that you made. Drill into the concrete using a hammer drill with a 1/2 inch by 6 inch drill bit. Fasten the posts using 1/2 inch anchor bolts through the post brackets. Once the anchor bolts are in place, make sure posts are level. This can be adjusted by loosening or tightening the anchor bolts. Slide a post skirt onto each post. Ensure the notches on the bottom of the post skirt line up with the bracket. Repeat this step for each post to complete post assembly. You can now move on to the post and header assembly section of the manual. Place one of the longer headers in position on the front posts. Attach the header to the post using 3.5 inch brown screws through all the pre-drilled holes. Leave the 2 outside holes empty for now. Finish fastening the header ends with 3.5 inch wood screws. Each end of the header gets 4 screws, 2 towed in from the top and 2 in from the bottom. Attach the header to the post using 3.5 inch brown screws through the rest of the pre-drilled holes. You can now also install the additional 2 brown screws that were left out on the previous header. Locate the brace sections and note that one side of the brace has exposed screws. That side should face inward. Place the brace section between the post and tight up against the header. Nudge into place using a rubber mallet if necessary. The brace section should be centered on the header above and will not be centered on the post. Fasten the brace to the post using 4 inch timberlock screws. Make sure to fill all the pre-drilled holes. Use 4 inch timberlock screws to fasten the brace to the header. You are now ready to move on to the roof plate and ridge assembly. Locate the gable plates and note that there is one side marked to be facing up. Install the gable plate and fasten it to the header using 3.5 inch brown screws. Make sure it is centered end to end. You can now install the roof plates. Make sure to keep them pushed in against the gable plates and centered end to end. Use 3.5 inch brown screws to hold it in place temporarily. Fasten the roof plate to the header using 3/8 inch lag and washers in each hole. Locate the web posts. Install the vertical web posts on the marked locations. Fasten the vertical web post using 3.5 inch brown screws through each pre-drilled hole. Locate the ridge pole. Make sure to align the marks on the bottom of the ridge pole to the tops of the vertical web posts. Make sure to keep it centered end to end. Fasten it to the vertical web post using 3.5 inch brown screws through each pre-drilled hole. You are now ready to move on to rafter assembly. Locate the rafters. You can now install the rafters using the marked locations on the roof plate. Fasten the rafters to the roof plates using 3.5 inch brown screws in from the sides and a 2.5 inch screw on the end. Tow in 3.5 inch brown screws at the top to fasten the rafters to the ridge pole. You can now install the diagonal web posts. Fasten the diagonal web posts to the gable plate using 3.5 inch brown screws. Attach the top of the diagonal web post to the rafter using a 3.5 inch brown screw. You can now install the show rafters. Fasten the faceboard to the show rafter using 3.5 inch brown screws. Fasten the show rafters to the ridge pole using 3.5-inch brown screws. You are now ready to move on to the roof sheathing and felt assembly. You can now install the T&G roof boards. Fasten the T&G roof boards with 2-inch nails. Use 2 nails per rafter. If the roof boards are at all warped or bowed, make sure to pull them down into place with pressure so that the tongue is inserted tightly into the groove. Continue working up the roof, making sure that the tongue is firmly inserted into the groove. Continue this process until all roof boards have been installed. Locate the drip edge and install on the edge of the roof and flush with the side of the roof with the hammer tacker every 10 to 12 inches. Measure and mark off the drip edge and then cut it as needed to finish off the rest of that side. Continue the drip edge on the gable ends of the roof and cut and fold the drip edge at the top as needed. Once the roof boards and drip edge is installed, you can now install the roofing paper. Roll the roofing paper across the roof and attach with hammer tacker staples. You are now ready to move on to the final assembly. Install the 2x4 collar ties to the rafters using 2.5-inch screws through each pre-drilled hole. Space the collar ties to the rafters according to the manual. Locate and install the corner covers with 2.5-inch stainless steel screws through the pre-drilled holes. Make sure to keep them up against the roof plate. Check for any scuffs or scratches that may have occurred during shipping or installation. You can cover these with the stain that we have provided for you.